Long ago, warnings were spoken, then forgotten. Today, those words rise again. Edgar Cayce, called the sleeping prophet, shared visions while asleep, messages many ignored. One message points to a quiet but serious warning for 2026. It speaks of change, tests, and choices that shape what comes next. These words were not meant to scare, but to wake us up. Are we ready to listen now, before time runs short? If this message speaks to you, support this channel and subscribe to Wise Predictor. Stay alert, stay aware, and keep watching for believers seeking truth and calm in uncertain times. Edgar Cayce was born in 1877 in a small farming town in Kentucky. He grew up in a simple home during a hard time in America's history. Life in the early 1900s was not easy. Most people worked long hours, had little money, and trusted faith and family to survive. Cayce was quiet, kind, and deeply religious from a young age. He had little formal schooling and never planned to become famous. For many years, he worked as a photographer and lived a normal life, unknown to the world. What made Edgar Cayce different was his rare ability to enter trance states. When he fell asleep, his voice would change, and he would answer questions with calm and clear words. While asleep, he spoke about health, life problems, history, and future events. When he woke up, he remembered nothing of what he said. This strange state led people to call him the sleeping prophet. Doctors, teachers, and everyday people came to him, hoping for help. Much of his work focused on medical cures. While in trance, Cayce gave advice for illnesses when doctors had no answers. He spoke about diet, rest, herbs, and balance in the body. Some cures helped people recover, even when science failed at the time. Many doctors studied his words with doubt, while others saw results they could not explain. Cayce never claimed to heal anyone himself. He said the body could heal when guided the right way. Cayce also spoke about ancient civilizations. He described lost lands such as Atlantis and talked about advanced knowledge from the past. He said some ancient people used energy, crystals, and tools far ahead of their time. These ideas were strange to many, but later discoveries made some listeners pause. His words caused debate among historians and scholars who questioned how a man with little education knew such details. Another large part of his readings involved future prophecies. Cayce warned about earth changes, shifts in power, and moral tests for humanity. He spoke of rising oceans, moving land, and changes in weather. He also warned that human actions, not fate alone, would shape the future. Many of his predictions pointed toward the mid-2020s as a time of pressure and decision. He spoke of unrest, economic strain, and spiritual confusion during this period. The source of Cayce's messages remains debated. Some believed his words came from a divine place, guided by God and higher wisdom. Others feared a darker source, saying no man should know such things. Cayce himself said the messages came from a higher level of the mind, connected to God. He prayed before each session and refused to profit greatly from his gift. As the mid-2020s arrive, people are again reading his words. His warnings speak of change, responsibility, and choice. They suggest that what happens next depends on how people act now. His voice from the past still raises questions that remain unanswered. Many of Edgar Cayce's predictions were considered dangerous. Some of his messages challenged governments, religious authorities, and powerful organizations. His readings did not always follow what leaders wanted people to hear. They spoke of changes in nations, warnings about wars, and moral lessons that could upset those in power. Because of this, some of his predictions were ignored, hidden, or suppressed. Authorities often dismissed them, but a few worried about the influence his words could have on the public. The tension between truth and control made many of Cayce's messages controversial even while he was alive. After Cayce's death in 1945, his work was archived. Thousands of readings were stored in files and boxes, but not all were easy to access. Some documents went missing or were kept in secret collections. Scholars, historians, and spiritual followers noticed that certain topics were incomplete. Some readings, especially those about political and social events, were not fully published. This caused speculation about what was removed and why. People wondered if the missing materials held warnings that were too sensitive or too true to be widely shared. There were also rumors of government interest in Cayce's work. Some believed that intelligence agencies and officials reviewed his readings, especially those about future events. They might have considered the predictions dangerous if people knew about them. This added a layer of secrecy and mystery to his work. The idea that government groups could control or hide information made his prophecies even more feared. Documents that mentioned disasters, climate changes, or shifts in global power were reportedly kept from public view. One of the most alarming areas of Cayce's work involves 2026. Some readings suggest that this year could bring serious challenges. The warnings are not simple or easy to ignore. They talk about shifts in society, moral tests, and consequences that affect many people. Some readings were intentionally left out of books and public archives. Followers who studied the complete files noticed gaps around mid-2020's predictions, raising questions about what was hidden. The forbidden material often deals with responsibility and choice. Cayce's words suggest that actions taken now can influence the outcomes in 2026. Governments, leaders, and everyday people are all part of this warning. His messages were not meant to scare but to prepare. Yet the missing documents and restricted readings create fear and curiosity. People ask why some predictions were kept away from the public and what might happen if they are ignored. The combination of suppression, archiving issues, and rumors about government interest makes Cayce's prophecies mysterious. Even decades after his death, his work continues to provoke debate and attention. Some people believe the warnings about 2026 are urgent. Others question if the missing material is real or exaggerated. Still, the idea that parts of his work were kept secret only adds to the sense of danger surrounding his predictions. Many continue to search for the full truth, hoping to understand what was once hidden and what might come in the near future. Edgar Cayce's private letters tell a story very different from his public readings. While his published work focused on health, spirituality, and general advice, his personal correspondence often contained bold warnings about the future. Many of these letters were sent to close friends, family, or trusted followers. They spoke openly about possible disasters, shifts in governments, and changes in society, especially around the year 2026. The content was far more direct than his public readings, and it caused concern even among those who respected him. Families and close friends often chose to keep these letters hidden. Some feared the predictions were too alarming or could cause panic. Others worried that the messages might be misunderstood or used against Cayce's reputation. Over the years, these letters remained in private collections, sometimes passed quietly from one generation to the next. The secrecy added a sense of mystery to his work and made the letters a source of speculation for researchers and followers who knew of their existence. The letters include warnings about global disruption in the mid-2020s. They describe economic strain, unusual weather patterns, and tensions between nations. Some passages suggest moral tests for humanity, emphasizing that choices made today could influence the outcome of coming events. The tone is urgent but measured, urging readers to prepare and remain aware. These messages show Cayce's concern for the planet and its people, highlighting that he believed foresight could prevent or lessen harm. In recent years, some of these private letters have surfaced publicly. They appeared in archives, auctions, and digital collections, drawing new attention from scholars, historians, and those interested in prophecy. Many readers were surprised by the level of detail and the warnings that had been hidden for decades. The resurfacing of these documents brought fresh questions about why they were kept private and what their release could mean for understanding Cayce's predictions. Specific warnings in the letters point to a critical period around 2026. Cayce wrote about changes in leadership, environmental challenges, and shifts in global balance. Some messages warn that ignoring these signs could lead to crises that affect everyone. He emphasized responsibility, suggesting that individual and collective actions could shape what happens. While the letters do not provide exact dates or events, They stress preparation, awareness, and ethical choices. These forbidden letters add a new layer to Cayce's work. They show a side of the sleeping prophet that few had seen for decades. The letters demonstrate his concern for the world's future and the serious tone of his private guidance. They are a reminder that not all of his messages were shared publicly and that some truths were kept in trust. The emergence of these documents encourages careful attention, as they provide a clearer picture of the challenges Cayce believed lay ahead. Many of Edgar Cayce's warnings seem to appear in the world today. He spoke of earth changes, and signs of this are becoming harder to ignore. Natural disasters are increasing in frequency and intensity. Earthquakes shake areas that were once quiet. Floods sweep through towns and cities, leaving destruction behind. Wildfires rage across forests and homes, fueled by heat and drought. Hurricanes and storms strike with growing power, hitting coastal regions across the Americas, Asia, and Europe. These events reflect the patterns Cayce described, suggesting that the planet is responding to forces that may continue to intensify in the coming years. Alongside physical changes, Cayce warned of a global spiritual crisis. Today, moral conflicts appear in many communities. People struggle with ethical questions, and society debates issues that divide nations and families. Mental health challenges are growing, with anxiety, depression, and stress affecting millions. Many feel lost or disconnected, seeking answers in unstable ways. Trust in institutions, governments, and traditional authorities is weakening. Scandals, corruption, and perceived failures have caused people to question those who once provided guidance. This crisis is not only personal but collective, affecting how communities and nations function. Modern geopolitical tensions also reflect some of Cayce's predictions. Cyber attacks are increasing, targeting governments, businesses, and infrastructure. Trade disputes and economic sanctions create instability between countries. Alliances that once seemed strong are showing signs of strain, with shifting loyalties and unpredictable decisions. Conflicts over resources, technology, and territory add to the uncertainty. Nations that were once allies face new challenges, and global stability seems fragile. Cayce warned that human actions, not only natural events, shape the world's path, and today these tensions are a clear example. The combination of natural disasters, spiritual struggles, and political instability creates a sense of urgency. Regions such as the Pacific Ring of Fire experience frequent earthquakes and volcanic activity. Floods strike South Asia and parts of Europe almost every year. Wildfires rage across North America, Australia, and Southern Europe. Hurricanes batter the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Pacific Islands. These events are not isolated. They appear connected to larger patterns affecting the planet. On a human level, moral and mental challenges affect families, communities, and leaders. Decisions made without care can amplify crises. Social unrest, protests, and rising frustration are visible in many countries. People are questioning values, ethics, and responsibility, reflecting a spiritual tension that Cayce predicted. Cayce also spoke about conflicts between nations and how they would change the world. Cyber threats disrupt communication and security. Trade wars affect millions of lives, influencing jobs, prices, and global cooperation. Alliances shift unpredictably, causing uncertainty in international relations. Leaders must act carefully, or the consequences could be severe. Today, many signs Cayce warned about are visible. Earth changes, spiritual struggles, and political tension all point to a period of challenge. Individuals and societies are being tested. The events unfolding across the planet suggest that his predictions are more than words from the past. They may be guiding warnings for the present and near future. Edgar Cayce predicted changes in the power of nations, and signs of this are appearing today. He spoke of declining powers, caused by internal corruption, moral decay, and poor leadership. Nations that once seemed strong may struggle if they ignore the lessons of responsibility and fairness. According to his readings, failure to act with wisdom could bring serious consequences, weakening countries from within before outside forces affect them. The United States was a major focus of his warnings. Cayce described growing division, conflict, and disagreement among its people. He spoke of political, social, and economic challenges that could pull the country apart if unity and ethics were ignored. Problems within families, communities, and institutions could reflect larger issues at the national level. The warnings were not about destruction alone, but about choices and consequences. The country's future, he said, depends on how its people respond to these challenges. European powers also face difficulty in his predictions. Countries that once led the world economically and politically are described as weakening. Corruption, slow response to change, and lack of vision could allow other nations to gain influence. Cayce mentioned that moral decay, greed, and political instability would make it harder for these nations to maintain power. While they may continue to be important, their dominance could be replaced by rising countries with new strategies and strength. At the same time, Cayce predicted the rise of Eastern nations. Russia and China were mentioned as countries that would grow in influence and power. Their position on the global stage could become stronger due to strategic planning, resource management, and bold leadership. As older powers struggle, these nations could expand their role in trade, technology, and military strength. Their rise may shift the balance of the world, creating tension and requiring careful diplomacy. Cayce also connected moral behavior with national strength. Nations that ignore justice, fairness, and ethics are more likely to face challenges, while those that act responsibly and honor commitments may gain advantage. Internal decay, dishonesty, and corruption weaken governments, making it harder to face natural, economic, or political crises. Leaders and citizens both play a role in the stability and future of their countries. The fall of nations, according to Cayce, is not sudden. It happens gradually through poor choices, social division, and loss of trust in institutions. Signs of weakness can appear years before collapse, giving time for action if people respond wisely. Corruption and moral decline create vulnerability, opening space for other nations to rise. Cayce's vision emphasizes that the balance of power in the world is not fixed. Nations rise and fall according to decisions made by leaders and citizens alike. In today's world, Cayce's predictions seem visible. Internal conflict, division, and moral questions affect both Western and Eastern countries. The United States faces political and social challenges, European nations struggle to maintain influence, and Russia and China show growing strength. These shifts reflect patterns that Cayce spoke about decades ago, suggesting that his warnings continue to resonate. Edgar Cayce warned that the greatest challenge facing humanity is spiritual, not material. He said the root cause of many problems in the world comes from the spiritual condition of people. When people ignore their inner growth and responsibility, nations, communities, and individuals suffer. Cayce spoke about universal spiritual laws, rules that govern human life beyond what is visible. Breaking these laws brings consequences, while following them leads to balance and protection. The modern world often ignores these principles, focusing on wealth, power, or comfort instead of the health of the soul. Cayce explained that many struggles today, conflict, division, fear, and suffering, come from a lack of spiritual awareness. People act without considering moral responsibility, forget the needs of others, and ignore the inner voice of conscience. This blindness to spiritual duty creates tension in families, communities, and nations. Mental health challenges, unrest, and loss of trust are signs of this imbalance. When humanity ignores spiritual guidance, natural, social, and personal problems intensify. The solution, according to Cayce, is found in simple but powerful practices. Faith in a higher purpose, daily prayer, acts of charity, and the search for truth are steps that strengthen the soul. Each action aligns people with universal laws and creates stability in life. Prayer is not just words, it is connection with higher guidance. Charity is not only giving money but offering care and service to others. Truth-seeking requires honesty with oneself and with the world. These practices help people face challenges with clarity and inner strength. Cayce also spoke about safe zones, areas protected by spiritual vibration. These are not always physical locations, but states of being. People who live in harmony with universal laws, who practice love, honesty, and service, create protection for themselves. Communities that follow these principles are stronger and safer, not because of weapons or walls, but because of the energy generated by ethical and spiritual behavior. At the heart of Cayce's teaching is the soul. He said the soul is the true answer to life's difficulties. The body, wealth, or power alone cannot protect a person or a nation. Only when the soul is nurtured through moral action, spiritual discipline, and love for others can individuals and societies thrive. A strong soul provides guidance, resilience, and a sense of purpose even in times of crisis. This spiritual crisis affects everyone, not only those who study prophecy. Ignoring the health of the soul leads to fear, unrest, and poor choices. Cayce's guidance emphasizes personal responsibility. By nurturing the soul, practicing faith and service, and living in harmony with universal laws, people can find safety and peace. The world's challenges are not only outside events, they reflect the state of the collective human spirit. Strengthening the soul is the key to surviving and overcoming the trials of the present age. Edgar Cayce spoke of a promise beyond the difficulties facing the world today. He said that after chaos and challenge, transformation is possible. The world may experience pain, natural disasters, and social unrest, but these events are not only destruction, they are a form of purification. Cayce believed that after this period, a new age could emerge, offering hope and renewal for humanity. This new age would bring spiritual clarity. People would understand their connection to higher principles and live with greater honesty, compassion, and awareness. Awareness of spiritual responsibility would guide actions in daily life. Communities and nations would grow more thoughtful, making choices that reflect care for others and the planet. The focus would shift from selfish gain to the common good, creating conditions for long-lasting peace and stability. Global unity is another key characteristic of this new time. Conflicts between nations would decrease as cooperation and understanding increase. People would work together to solve common problems, valuing communication, respect, and fairness. Cayce emphasized that unity comes from recognizing shared humanity and spiritual bonds. Differences in culture, language, or tradition would not disappear, but they would be seen as opportunities for learning and collaboration rather than division. Peace would follow suffering. Humanity would learn lessons from trials, natural disasters, and personal challenges. These difficulties would teach responsibility, empathy, and resilience. The suffering of the past would serve as a foundation for wisdom, not only for individuals but for communities and nations. Cayce's message was that hardships are not punishment, but a path to higher understanding and growth. In the new world, systems in medicine, education, and leadership would improve. Medicine would focus on balance, prevention, and healing of body, mind, and spirit. Education would teach not only knowledge but also ethics, creativity, and spiritual development. Leadership would rise from humility and wisdom rather than ambition and greed. Leaders would serve their people, guided by principles of fairness, care, and vision. These changes would reflect the transformation of values from fear and control to service and integrity. Cayce described leaders as emerging not from wealth or power but from understanding, humility, and moral strength. They would inspire rather than dominate, guiding nations and communities with thoughtful and ethical decisions. This leadership would help societies rebuild after turmoil, creating stability while honoring human dignity and freedom. Destruction, according to Cayce, is part of the cleansing process. Fires, storms, conflicts, and social unrest remove what is weak or unjust. This creates space for renewal and the emergence of new systems, values, and communities. The world would not only survive these challenges but emerge stronger and more balanced. The promise of a new earth shows that chaos is temporary. Spiritual clarity, global unity, peace, and wise leadership can follow the trials of today. Humanity has the chance to rebuild with a focus on higher principles, ethics, and shared responsibility. Cayce's vision offers hope that after struggle comes renewal, and that the future can be brighter for those who choose awareness, compassion, and moral action. Edgar Cayce pointed to the period from 2000 to 2026 as a time of build-up for major change. He described the years leading to 2026 as a time when tensions, both natural and human-made, would grow. Small events would accumulate, warning people that larger changes were approaching. According to his readings, 2026 would become a turning point, a year when these pressures could create noticeable shifts in the world. One of the predicted events is sudden changes to the Earth's surface. Cayce spoke of movements of land and rising oceans. Regions prone to earthquakes or volcanic activity could face stronger or more frequent events. Floods and shifts in coastlines were also mentioned, affecting communities and cities worldwide. These natural changes could disrupt life, forcing nations to respond quickly and adapt to new conditions. Global economic disruption is another key prediction for 2026. Financial systems, trade, and markets may face sudden challenges. Economic pressure could spread between nations, affecting jobs, resources, and daily life. Cayce suggested that preparation and responsibility in financial, political, and personal areas could reduce the impact of these disruptions. The warning highlights the connection between human choices and larger consequences, showing how action or inaction today can influence the future. Unusual weather patterns are also predicted. Storms, heat waves, cold snaps, and unexpected natural events could appear in regions unaccustomed to them. Hurricanes, floods, and wildfires may intensify or appear in unusual locations. Cayce emphasized that these changes are part of a broader chain reaction, connected to shifts in the Earth and human activity. Monitoring, planning, and adaptation are necessary to face these challenges. 2026 is described not only as a year of physical change but also as a spiritual test. Humanity's choices, ethics, and moral responsibility could be examined in ways that affect outcomes. Division may increase, with people, communities, and nations facing conflicts over values, beliefs, and decisions. Cayce suggested that inner preparation, faith, and ethical behavior could provide guidance through this period of trial. The spiritual aspect of 2026 is as important as the natural and economic factors. The chain reaction of events means that one change may lead to another. Earth shifts could affect economies, which could influence social stability and spiritual challenges. Each event may create pressure on other systems, making preparation and awareness critical. The world may feel unstable, but understanding the connections can help people respond wisely. Current signs show some of what Cayce predicted. Natural disasters, economic tension, social unrest, and ethical questions are already present. These events are small compared to what may come, but they offer a glimpse of the larger pattern. According to his readings, 2026 may bring the culmination of these trends, testing humanity's readiness to act responsibly and live in alignment with higher principles. Edgar Cayce predicted the rise of a mysterious leader during a time of global crisis. This figure is described as neither east nor west, suggesting a position that is not fully aligned with traditional powers or regions. According to Cayce, this leader will emerge in a period of confusion when nations face natural disasters, economic challenges, and spiritual tests. The rise is not expected to come through war or direct conflict but through influence over people's decisions, ideas, and actions. The characteristics of this leader are unusual. Cayce described someone who speaks of unity, promising guidance and harmony, but whose actions may create division or uncertainty. This dual nature could make it difficult to understand their true intentions at first. People may follow out of hope or fear, believing the leader will bring stability. The readings suggest that influence is gained through charisma, persuasion, and careful timing rather than traditional power or military strength. The emergence of this leader is linked to the events of 2026. Cayce's writings indicate that by this year, the conditions will be ripe for such a figure to appear. Global tension, social unrest, and spiritual tests will create a space for leadership that is seen as necessary. The mysterious leader may not act immediately on a global scale, but their presence and influence will become noticeable as events unfold. A key question from Cayce's predictions is whether this figure is already present in the world or still to come. Some followers believe that hints of the leader's rise can already be seen in current leaders, influencers, or movements that appeal across nations. Others think the person will fully emerge closer to the turning point year, when crises intensify. Cayce's warnings suggest that timing is crucial and that the leader's influence will grow as conditions worsen. The role of this leader is also tied to human choice. Cayce emphasized that no single person can control destiny alone. The impact of the mysterious leader will depend on how people respond, whether they act with awareness and responsibility or follow blindly. Spiritual readiness, ethical decision-making, and moral awareness will affect the outcome of this leadership period. This leader's rise is intertwined with larger patterns of change in the world. Natural disasters, economic disruption, political instability, and spiritual tests all create a stage for influence. Cayce warned that confusion and division are often tools used by such figures, making discernment critical for the public. Followers of prophecy and spiritual teachings are encouraged to focus on clarity, ethics, and higher principles rather than being swayed by appearances or promises alone. In conclusion, the mysterious leader is a central figure in Cayce's vision of the near future. Neither aligned fully with East nor West, this person will rise in times of crisis through influence, not war. Speaking of unity while creating division, their role challenges humanity to act wisely and maintain spiritual awareness. Whether already present or yet to come, the emergence of this leader by 2026 will test the choices and moral strength of individuals and nations alike. Awareness, ethical judgment, and spiritual preparation will determine whether this period of leadership becomes a force for harm or a catalyst for true renewal.